Gun Productions. New media, new rules.
This is Hollywood Outlaws, Episode 6, for December 26, 2018, Donkey's Years.
Hey, welcome to Hollywood Outlaws, Episode 6. I'm Fab from Hamburg.
Hey, I'm Dan from Liverpool.
I'm so confused for a second. I thought you were going to say Dave.
Dave? No. Dave's not on this one. Dave's not here.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Now. With all the switching around on GNR, I'm
do you know?
confused.
You've done a lot of podcasts. Do you know that famous sketch by Cheech and Chong? Dave's not here, man. That's really good. Well, it's like it's an old radio sketch. And it's just this guy knocking on the door, going, "Hey man, let me in. It's Dave." And then the other guy behind the door is going, "Dave's not here, man." And he's like, "No, it's Dave. Let me in. Dave's not here, man." It's really good.
Do you know that I know Cheech? So both of them, like I know
Cheech Marin,
them chiefly from Cheech from
Walker
Nash
Texas
Bridges.
Ranger or something. No, not Walker Texas Ranger. What was it called?
No, Nash Bridges.
Nash Bridges, yeah. That was the Walker Texas Rangers, the Chuck Norris thing. I don't know where I got into that.
Wow. It's the 90s, isn't it?
Cop shows from the 90s, yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was in that. He's also in Dusk Till Dawn, the Tarantino film. And
is he?
Yeah,
wow.
He's in that, and he's in loads of other things as well. But Tommy Chong, I think, is in jail at the moment, or he was till recently. He was
really?
He was in a sting.
For what?
We're getting way off the subject of Bosch. If you tune in wait to hear about Bosch, we'll get to that in a minute.
It's legal now, isn't it? What was he in jail for?
So he was done in a sting operation, which is quite sad, really. He basically, being Tommy Chong, he got into selling like bongs online. That was what his thing. He didn't sell drugs. He just sold accessories.
Kind of his brand. You can't blame him for that.
He sold accessories to drugs online, and it's illegal under some weird. It's probably changed now. He's probably not in jail now. I should probably look. I'm just going to look that up before I confirm that. But he was in jail because what they did, which I would have thought was entrapment, I think in the US, but they basically some agents or whatever ordered stuff from him, asked him to ship it across state lines into another state where it was illegal to receive drug paraphernalia, and then they sent him to jail for it. And he was like, "Hang on, I run an online store that sells bongs. You ordered a bong, I sent it to you, and now you've sent me to jail." And the thing is, bongs aren't illegal; they're not inherently, criminal in any way.
Well, I'm sorry, so you're going away. Yeah, that's how it works in the US. Apparently, I think that's what they did to the Silk Road guy as well.
Yeah.
Although that was an illegal
store.
Well,
he was a bit different.
There's basically no such thing as entrapment. I mean, that's on lots of cop shows as well. You see them like this undercover police guys just buying drugs and then they're arresting the guy.
Yeah.
And like in Germany, I don't know how it's in the UK, but in Germany, you're not allowed to buy drugs if you're a police officer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Not at all. Like even you're not allowed to set some. So basically, they have to observe them selling the drugs to somebody else. Then it's okay, right? But you can't just go, "Hey, I'd like some coke." "Oh, you just sold me coke. You're under arrest." What?
He's not. I don't think he is in jail at the moment. But he did get sent to jail. I'm looking at his thing. So there's a legal case called U.S. versus Chong, which is awesome, from 2003, where it says he was caught up. He became caught up in 2 investigations, codenamed Operation Pipe Dream and Operation Headhunter, which tried to trace drug traffic and users through the business of selling drug paraphernalia, mostly bongs. So yeah, that's right. He ran. Okay, so it was operated from Pittsburgh, which must have some different laws in Pennsylvania or something. Anyway, it says Chong was charged with
Pittsburgh
financing and promoting Glass and Chong Glass / Nice Dreams, a company that he shared with his son. His case now.
Well, they got everything. They got Maxine, Angela Chong.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got everybody.
Apparently, yeah. So he claimed it was very controversial.
Oh no, this is. Oh, I think what case number do you have?
I was just going to say.
I think I'm on a different case.
I think that's a different Chong. Yeah.
So there's United States versus Chong, CHONG. That's not it.
CHONG.
How's he spelled?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tommy Chong.
Okay. So this is April 8th, 2002?
No, I don't think that's it.
No, this is a cocaine. Okay, sorry.
No, he's wrong drugs. But
Okay,
it was quite controversial at the time. It was seen as like they were basically just trying to make an example of him because he was a famous proponent of like legalizing marijuana, which is ironic because now one of the things that happened in the last election when they stupidly voted Trump in is that like they actually legalized marijuana or decriminalized it in a lot of the states in the US. So loads of them did it because they were all like, shit, we're going to need to be stoned to deal with this.
So there is a documentary called United States of America versus Thomas B. King Chong, aka Tommy Chong. I guess that's based.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh yeah, it says aka. These events were chronicled in something called aka Tommy Chong.
I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes.
But it was quite controversial anyway because he claimed he was, and I think he was right actually in that he was basically given different treatment to other defendants because he was Tommy Chong, and they were like, well, they treated him as harshly as they possibly could. If it had been anyone else who wasn't famous, he wouldn't have even got arrested. I mean, the whole case was set up to try and sting him, like because he was. So, I mean, for them to then turn around and say they didn't treat him any different to anyone else is a bit pathetic, really.
This would only have been better, right, if this whole Sting operation had actually included Sting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Sting could have been there. That would have been interesting.
As in the musician.
Apparently, even his DVDs were confiscated. It says here, on May the 7th, 2008, federal agents raided Spectrum Labs, which was producing his Tommy Chong DVDs, in an investigation related to its detoxification project, whatever that is, products. The search was one of 9 conducted in the Operation True Test. What do they name these things? Operation True Test.
Oh yeah, they're going to town on those.
Yeah, it targeted companies that were selling so-called masked products or masking products intended to help drug users pass employer drug tests. No federal laws were banned. Chong claimed that federal agents seized 8,000 to 10,000 copies of his yet-to-be-released documentary, aka Tommy Chong, but their attorney said that no DVDs were taken. So
this is Ace. Yeah. This Ace said we're talking about this because I just found the best picture of Cheech and Chong ever, which actually looks quite new. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put that in the show notes because it's just, I think they're on Colbert.
Oh, yeah.
And figures. They're wearing the best clothes ever. Mm-mm. Like Cheech's are wearing all gold, like an old gold sports jacket. and Chong's wearing like a tuxedo, except it looks like oil on water.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hang on, I'm waiting for it to load. Where are we? I know it's still loading. My computer's struggling to. Oh my god!
It's all the colors. It needs to load like the.
Why is he wearing like a dinner jacket and a cummerbund and all that? That's amazing.
I don't know, but it's like see the so I have to buy a tuxedo. Oh. So I want that because that looks like that oil on water effect.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks like petrol.
That's
or
amazing.
Oil or yeah. It is.
So
quite
I'm going to the press ball in Hamburg in January. I think I want that jacket.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Well, yeah, I had to phone Tommy Chong and see if he can put you onto his tailor or something. He's been in more films than I realised, actually. Just looking at that. I mean, as an actor. Apparently he was in Zootopia in 2016. What? Yeah. Not in a major role, I don't think.
So welcome to
Tommy Chong Outlaws.
To Hollywood Outlaws, where we talk about Bosch. No, we also talk about other things. So this is
if he ever, what we need now to complete this circle is for one of them to make an appearance in Bosch, and then we've tied it all
they
together.
will sooner or later.
They could be the new Crate and Barrel. They could just be like.
We've got good tie-ins this episode. We have an excellent Voyager tie-in. It'll be great.
Yeah. So speaking of this episode, we should probably start on it.
I have to start with saying that I listened when I edited the last episode and got through it. I was really drunk at the end.
You were really drunk. Yeah.
So I don't envy you. You were doing a good job.
I was trying to.
You were just suffering me.
No, it wasn't that. It was more like
I was laughing.
Trying to get to the end of the podcast, really.
Yeah, but also I was laughing about jokes 10 seconds after they were funny. It was pretty cool. So I'm continuing that tradition now. I am on a brilliant Riesling.
Oh wow!
From the Pfalz, which is great. So
I'm jealous. I'm drinking tea with honey and lemon in it because I've got a cold at the moment.
You're nursing cold, yeah. It's the season.
And I'm also eating chocolate. It is, yeah. And I'm also eating chocolate as well, which is apparently, I don't know if that's good for a cold, but it tastes pretty good. So I'm just eating it anyway. Doctor's orders. I've got to eat as much chocolate as I can.
Dr. Lynch.
Yeah. Yes. Dr. Lynch has prescribed that I eat as much chocolate as I can.
So I was watching this episode today, and I was it's basically said. So this is coming up to Christmas.
Yeah.
At Bosch's place and here too. So I thought that was perfect.
It is perfect, actually. Yeah.
This is actually our last show for the year. So we're gonna take a little break after this and then come back next year, fresh. But I thought that was good timing.
It was good timing. I've got about 5 pages of notes, I think, on this episode, so could be a long one. Let's see.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
But are you
12,
counting on your little
13,
notebook though?
14, 15 pages. Yeah, but it's not little.
Well, I'm talking A4. I'm talking 6 pages of A4. I'm imagining bigger than the sheets on your notebook.
I don't have A4. What is this? A5?
Mm-hmm. So it's half. Yeah, exactly. So every one is half of a. So we got about the same amount of notes then, by the sound of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's argue stationary outlaws.
No, this is A6. Sorry, A6.
Oh right.
A6.
Oh well, I'm lost now. I once you get beyond A5, I'm lost.
So A5 is half A4.
And then A6
is half A5.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all very logical because it's German. Mm-hmm. It's a Deutsche Industrienorm.
Yeah, that's true. So hang on. So if my maths is correct, then that means 1 page on yours is a quarter of an A4.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, okay, got you.
So you probably have more notes.
Yeah, maybe. But mine are mostly just writing down the lines that they've said, so it's not exactly original. It's more like, I like that line, I'll write that down.
Well, mine's pretty much that as well.
Yeah. So episode 6 we're on to, which is, it's called Donkey's Years.
Chapter 6, Donkey's Years.
Chapter 6, yeah. I forgot, Amazon, Netflix does this as well now. They call everything a chapter instead of an episode.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, makes it sound.
Before we get into this show, sorry, I have to derail this once again. You said Netflix.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, last night the Springsteen on Broadway thing came out.
Oh yeah.
And you have to watch that. Seriously.
Yeah.
I cried. I cried. No, you're laughing.
I'm laughing because I'm only laughing because I know how much you were into that. Like,
I really did cry several times. Wow. Also because I'm kind of emotional right now because quitting my job and it's all very exciting and stuff. But how big of a deal Springsteen is to my life.
Yeah, I know. And
he is crying as well.
Wow.
So he keeps. So
he's
basically,
like, Fab's quitting and I can't believe it. I don't know what he's gonna do. What if it doesn't work out? And then he's like, this one's called Thunder Road.
Yeah. So basically, the show is pretty much that, except he's not talking about me. It's like he's talking about like stories from his autobiography, right? And then he plays like acoustic songs.
Yeah.
But he keeps talking about his dad. And so if you watch it, So before he plays, it's a long time coming. He's crying. Like he tells the story about his dad, and then he's crying, and then he plays the song, trying like he's like trying to get the tears away, like trying not to like go like this with his nose.
Just wiping his nose on the mic.
It's really good. It is.
I've been planning to watch it. I've got the album somewhere. I just ordered the album, which hasn't arrived yet.
Just like if you like watch the show before the album, because it's the same thing, and it's visually it's a lot better. Like you see a lot of you see him reacting, whatever.
Sorry, I'm laughing because like visually watching it on a TV is better than listening to the music because there's not any visuals.
No, it's actually
I know what you mean. You get the full.
The album's great as well, but like if you can see him as well.
It's
like,
I've got Netflix,
filmed,
so I'll watch it. Yeah.
It's filmed really well. It's like shot really well. It's like really low key. It's just lighting and him.
It's a really small theater as well, isn't it?
It's a really small theater. I so wish I could have been there. And
you couldn't get a ticket for Love Nor Money though.
Oh no, you couldn't. Like he was there for a year. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't played in a well. He like once a year plays in Stone Pony in Ashbury Park, but aside from that, like he hasn't been in a club this small since like 1971 probably. It is really good. I'm a extreme Bruce Springsteen fanboy. But like even saying that, like, I hope a lot of people see it because a lot of people don't know him, right? They just know Born to Run and Born in the USA.
Born in the USA, everyone knows.
And he does a version of Born in the USA that is just bloody amazing. You know, he had this version that he played for years. It's just on a 12-string guitar. On this one, he basically just the 12-string intro and plays a bridge, and in between he just sings it a cappella.
Oh, nice.
And he does a really good version of Ghost of Tom Joad.
Ah, nice. Yeah.
Not as good as the version you did.
Well, obviously not. He may have written the song, but I made the song.
Actually, that song that just like I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm getting old and I'm getting like emotional, but like just a while back, I think when we were talking about going on Floss Weekly, I listened to the last episode of LO.
Oh yeah.
And when you played the song, I cried as well.
Yeah. It was good. It was. I remember that being it was quite an emotional episode. Yeah. I will
anyway,
make a note to watch it. I didn't know it was out yet. Did it come out last night then? That's why I didn't.
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, well, that'll be why I didn't realise it.
I was like, I was watching it,
refreshing
crying,
refreshing it, refreshing.
And Katie was like looking at me. What? I mean, she knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with Springsteen. Like I was like, I was like 6. Like one of my earliest memories is like sitting in the living room, and my dad just listening to Springsteen. And I was my first concert ever. I was 10. I went to Bruce Springsteen in Dortmund, and I was dressed. You just picture this. I was dressed all in denim, like jeans, jacket, and then I had a red bandana.
Perfect.
Around like
Born in the USA
Bruce.
with the I was going to say with the Born in the USA outfit on.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You need a baseball cap stuck in your back pocket.
Yeah. God, that cover. It's like
it's an odd one. It's good.
For the longest time, I didn't know that was a baseball cap. I was like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Also, who sticks a baseball cap in their back pocket? Because as soon as you sit down, you're going to wreck it. But I don't know.
Springsteen. I don't know.
He's probably can afford more than one baseball cap.
He tells so many stories. So basically, he talks about how I think so. There was a great piece in Esquire out just before this, where he talks about like his depression and his dad had depression or whatever. And I think he just like for the longest time felt like a fraud. Like he makes jokes about it, but like he in that thing he just talks about how he just like he talks about how he never driven the block. And then had to drive like cross country with a friend and just couldn't drive. And then he just goes like, just mind you, this is the guy who a few months later would ride racing in the street. He keeps saying, I just made it all up.
Well, that's part of being an artist, though, isn't it? I mean, I don't think most writers.
I think
it's not autobiographical. Well,
I think you'll get the thing why I said you should watch is like you get a kick out of it. Being a musician, I mean, you'll recognize a lot of the things in the stories, whatever. The drummer who can't play like that one song, and it's hilarious. Anyway, let's talk about Bosch. It's like almost 20 minutes. We're wrecking our 1 hour thing here.
Bosch, yeah.
Anyway, let's start with this episode, right?
Yeah, so it's called Donkey's Years, episode 6. So it opens with a shot of the motel exterior, motel at night. I've written it like a script here. Motel exterior, night.
I have that too, yeah.
Waits, so yeah, and then it's horror, it's raining, doesn't look very
It's like
friendly.
a really dingy motel as well.
Yeah,
Right?
it's the one, and then it's the one where we saw Waits last in the last episode, where he's sat on the bed watching TV, and I wrote down, so you can tell I wrote this in real time. I've written down, presumably he sat next to the dead body of the guy he suffocated in the last episode, and then about 2-3 lines down, I go, oh yeah, the body is now seen on screen. Yeah. So yeah,
we learn a lot of things about Bosch. By the way, he calls Bosch on his cell phone. If you ever want to call Harry Bosch, that's 323-2445.
I wonder what that actually goes to, though. It's probably not a real number, no.
It's very short.
Yeah, he must have got it from, because Bosch writes it on his arm, doesn't he? In the interview thing where he says he's bullshitting, he writes it on his arm and says, like, if you think of something that's not been in the paper or whatever, or
that's
not
where he got it from. I was wondering where he got it from.
No, he wrote it on his arm, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But the other thing is, I mean, wouldn't it have smeared or rubbed off or something? Or I don't know. It never
probably
works.
wrote it down.
When you try and write a number on your arm or your hand or something, you always, for me anyway, it always ends up getting sweated off or something. And it's like, is that an 8 or a what's that? I don't know. It doesn't really.
So
work.
he'd been trying to call Bosch for like the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, he's
like,
calling different people.
Finally got the number right.
Yeah. So so he calls. He's watching TV. He's watching news about himself. He calls Bosch basically to say, well, just basically to try and wind him up a bit, I think. But he says to Bosch, I thought I'd see what my options are or something. And then Bosch says to him, I wrote this bit down. Bosch says, you've got 2 options. You can wait till we catch you and then sit in an 8x10 cell for years until they stick a needle in your arm. Or you can take that gun that you snatched off my colleague and put it in your mouth. I'd choose that if I were you. And which is kind of badass. So he basically tells him to kill himself. He doesn't, unfortunately. But and then he says something like option 3. He's like, then option 3 is, we come to get you and you go to reach for a weapon and then we put you down for good or something like that. And he basically says if he doesn't kill himself, then Bosch is gonna kill him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. I like how it's like you got 2 options. Option 3 is get shot by me.
Yeah, that's true. And then it's the titles. And then you get the opening title sequence, obviously.
So, and I noticed something. Did you see who's directing this?
No, I didn't. This episode.
So it says Roxanne Dawson.
Oh.
And if you've ever watched Voyager, you might recognize Roxanne as she's credited there, Roxanne Biggs Dawson. Who is B'Elanna Torres.
Oh, yeah.
On Voyager. And then I looked her up. And apparently, after that, she became a director. And she's directed loads of shit. And also, apparently, she's a childhood friend of William Shatner's daughter.
Okay. Interesting.
And this all ties up, I guess, because I think I know why she's directing this. Because Bosch, or Titus Welliver, I call him Bosch already, he was a guest star on Voyager once.
Oh yeah, I've seen the picture.
He played like a lieutenant in an episode.
Lieutenant Harry Bosch of the Starfleet.
Yeah.
His face is always set to kill. It's like,
damn it, Harry, that's the
Bosch,
captain.
That's the mayor. Yeah, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so I didn't know that, but yeah, she's directed loads of stuff by looking at this. I looked it up at IMDb. It's like, oh wow. Yeah. Also, back to the mention of Sting as well. There's also a Sting link there as well with Roxanne. You don't have to put on the red light. Anyway, so
blue red light. Was that right?
Yeah. So meanwhile, after the titles, we're back at the motel again, and then this is where I put police have found the naked body of Waite's victim, because it starts with a close up of a naked dead guy.
Yeah.
And then kind of pans out a bit. And then outside of the motel, we can see Lieutenant Billets and Bosch talking. And she tells Bosch to leave before Pounds arrives because it's not his case and all that shit. And then,
which is wrong, because didn't Irwin tell him that is kind of his case now?
When he said, no, he said solve your case, which is the
but when Irwin said that Bosch is now on the protection detail for Waits. Bosch said, well, it's Crates and Barrels case. And you said, well, it's your murder, so it's your case. I mean, make up your mind, guys. Whose
but
case
also,
is it?
Crate's still in hospital, presumably. So he can't be working on it, can he?
Because
Barrel's working with that other girl he seems to be working with.
Kiz,
yeah.
Yep.
So Bosch shows Billets the photos, the dodgy photos that he found in the trailer of the young girl with her dad.
He keeps showing that to everybody.
He does seem to walk around with those in his pocket going, have you seen these? Check this out, guys. It's a bit odd. Yeah. So, I think she basically again tells him to get away and not be there when Billets is there. It's not Billets, sorry, when Pounds arrives. So that's interesting. And then
cut to Bosch at the station in one of those shitty interview rooms. So he's now interviewing Delacroix.
The failed actor guy.
Right. And, he asks about his cat.
He's very worried about it. He says, did you feed the cat? Yeah.
Yeah, just because the daughter reminded him. Otherwise, the cat would now be dead. Because
that's true.
Bosch had other things on his mind. And then, Bosch tells him that whole story with him dragging the body up the canyon is bullshit, and then
interestingly, he says to him, "You didn't kill Arthur, but you're responsible," and he really puts the emphasis on you're responsible, even though you didn't do it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and then he basically Delacroix says, I don't, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And then he just shows him the pictures because he's carrying the pictures around all the time.
Yeah, and when he does seem to carry them around in his pocket all the time. And there's one point where somebody goes, later on, he shows them to the girl, Sheila or whatever she's called, and she goes, what happens to them? And as she goes to pick them up, Bosch puts them back in his pocket and goes they stay in evidence. They stay in my pocket. It's he doesn't want to...
I might need them again.
I might need them later, yeah. What I did think was interesting is there's that line where... Sam, his name is the Sam Delacroix, the father. As Bosch basically shows the photos, he turns away and won't look at them. And then Bosch says, "What? You've been jerking off to these all those years, and now you can't look at them," which is quite harsh. True. Yeah,
I actually kind of liked how the actor is doing a good job here in this scene. I thought.
Yeah, he's quite a good actor. That guy.
He's doing quite well, and that picture there always have his casting picture from back in the day. That must have been his
probably his real one
headshot. Yeah. It does look like it. And then so Bosch's new theory, according to this, is that Sheila beat Arthur because she blamed him for his dad raping her. So that's this whole thing where Bosch says they call it. What does he say? They call it.
He says it's rape. Yeah, he says they call it
these days.
Abuse.
Let's call it what it is. It's rape.
It's rape. Yeah.
Right. And so he thinks Sheila killed Arthur, and Dad covered it up.
Yeah,
that's why he never filed the missing persons.
And he says to him as he walks out, "And I won't let you soothe your conscience by copying to a crime you didn't commit." As he leaves him there.
Crime you didn't commit. That just does that in my brain.
Cue the machine gun. Yeah. So he leaves him there basically without any information. And then we cut to Sheila now, to a movie studio lot.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, so they go to see Sheila, who's the daughter, and
no, when they come in, so they go to Red Studios Hollywood, which is obviously like another, it's like Fox Studios or whatever, and they just put, when they put that sign on, and obviously sign that's just stuck to the wall over whatever sign is there. It's like, and they drive in, and then there's this guy who's like auditioning, and he's going. He's got like this ill-fitting tie.
Yeah.
And
he's got not very good though. He's not very good.
No, I think he's not good on purpose. Yeah. He's got like the Columbo tie, which is like too short and ill-fitting. It's like, probable cause up the wazoo. And this is actually from the book. So in the book they do this as well, but in the book they're like all these guys. So he describes it with like guys in fedoras and ill-fitting suits, just milling around everywhere, like. Nice. doing like trying to remember like lines or whatever. And he's got like his fingers out like with a pistol as well. I love that. And then she's like, yeah, Frank.
And he looks pissed up. What's his name? Frank or something? Yeah. She goes, take a 5, Frank, or something. Yeah. And he gives like Bosch a real kind of nasty look, and Bosch goes, take 5, Frank. See you later, Frank, or something. He says to him.
He tries to stare him down and do like, we're the real detectives, Piss off.
Yeah, he's not good, that guy. So then they tell Bosch and Edgar tell Sheila that they didn't think the dad's guilty, and they show her the photos, and then obviously she starts to realise that they've got more on her than she realised. And then she says, "I wanted him to go," and then there's a pause, and she says, "Arthur," as if they were going to go. Who did you want to go? Or it was someone else. But
whenever people say Arthur, that's just like the crime they didn't commit. That just makes me think of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. Arthur, yeah.
Somebody comes around.
King Arthur, maybe. I always think of King Arthur.
Fucking Peaky Blinders.
So she admits to beating Arthur regularly, basically.
Yeah.
And then she says that one day she came home and saw him packing to leave, and she didn't stop him. She went and waited and hid in her room until he left. And then she says, if I'd stopped him that day, he'd still be alive. And she's obviously quite guilty about it, although she's been beating him as well. But then, interestingly, before they leave, Harry and Edgar tell her that she should bring a case against her father, and they say, testify against your father, bring charges for sexual abuse. And Edgar says, it's not too late. Just as they're about to leave, he says, like, it's not too late. So they're telling her to basically make sure that the father gets done for.
But I don't think she's going to do it. She says, like, I can't do it. I also love when they tell her, and then she says, I thought he confessed, and then Bosch says he deconfessed.
He deconfessed.
It's like, happens a lot, apparently.
It does, it does.
Yeah, so I don't know where do we stand? I mean, this doesn't look like. She says she beat him, but she let him go away, right? So,
well, she wanted him to go, yeah. Basically.
Yeah, but that means she didn't kill him, right?
I would think so, yeah, I would think so. I mean,
that didn't kill her, so who killed him?
Well, I guess we'll find out if we keep going. We might find out. So I don't know. That's what they're trying to find out now. Well, basically, that's the discussion they have, isn't it? So the next scene is the station car park, and they're walking in from the car to
Dad's notes is like already said, Dave. Jesus Christ, I'm really confused.
Right,
I'm sorry. So your notes
Dave's
is like
not here,
exterior
man.
Station car park.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say exterior, but it does say PlayStation car park. Yeah, I've put down Harry and Edgar discuss the case as they're walking in, because basically Edgar says, like, what are we going to do now? If it's not the father, then who the hell is it? And all the rest of it. And then Bosch says...
Edgar's like pissed off. He's like, we had like 2 people in the back already. What are you doing, Bosch? I need to go home to my family and my real estate business.
And my elves, and my elf collection.
My elves.
Yeah. So Bosch says he thinks that Arthur was killed on the hill. He says nobody carried him up there. He was killed on the hill. And they decide to try and track down his old skateboarding pals, and then they get an idea.
Johnny Stokes.
Yeah, Johnny Stokes or something. And then
so the idea is he ran there because that's where he used to hang out, right? So when he ran away, he went there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, I loved this scene. I thought it was really good. Where once again it's Lieutenant Billets and Bosch talking. Bosch is in the room looking at the maps and things they've got set up for the Waits case, and he says basically that he keeps popping up in different places. And she says, "Brilliant, Harry. I think even the captain can read a map."
We're writing down the same lines as well. I love this. We're like totally on the same.
Yeah, I really like that. And she tells him again to go and see his daughter, and she says he can have days off.
The thing is, she keeps talking about how where all the sightings are and everything happened, and they arrested him in Echo Park, but like all the other stuff wasn't around Echo Park. And this is like the title of the novel with the case coming in again and again. They're like Echo Park.
Well, knowing what we both already know about this, just from you from the books as well, is that, like, I think they're pushing towards the tunnel thing. And that's how is he popping up in places when he's not seen in between them, which is interesting. I did love that. She gives him days off and tells him again, because she's done this in a few of the other episodes, and she says, "Go and spend Christmas with your daughter. Don't be such a pussy."
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's a great line.
I wrote that down.
Did you? I was going to say, I bet you wrote that one down.
I love Billets. She's great.
She is good.
So then Bosch takes Brescia to pick out a present for Maddie. And then she's like, "Does she have pierced ears?" And he doesn't know. And he's like, "She's 14. Isn't that too young?"
No, she says to him, like, "How old is she? 14?" And he goes, 15, like, very soon. And then apparently he thinks 15 is too young to have your ears pierced. Too young to have
pierced ears, yeah.
Yeah. I put down Harry can be quite conservative sometimes.
Oh yeah, we'll get that later as well. Isn't like 12 a normal age for that?
Well, she says to him, it's not an abortion, it's just pierced ears.
That's great. And I also love how he leaves her to pick that, and then they go, "Okay, let's go for a bracelet, play it safe." And then she picks them out.
Yeah.
Well, he gets a phone call from Waits, who calls him from a hardware store, talking about how he's not stealing a shovel.
So that was a really creepy thing.
I wrote down fucking creep.
Well, I wrote down, so what he actually says to him is, he says, "I've
don't
realized
steal
I
shovels.
I steal
souls."
Yeah, and he also says, "I do have other options." Like, based on the earlier conversation, he says, "I do have other options," and then he says, "I don't steal shovels, I steal souls." So he sees himself as some kind of god or something. I don't know. He's pretty messed up.
Reaper
I think we
something.
can establish that. Yeah. Then we get to Barrel and Kiz and Bosch looking at security footage. And at first, I thought they were in the station or somewhere. I don't know, but they're looking at a screen, looking at security footage of Waits in a shop, getting stuff, checking out what he's buying and stuff. And then he just shoots the teller in the head, like in cold blood, straight through the head. And Barrel immediately goes, "Oh, fuck me, that's Crate's gun," as he shoots him. And then we see Waits go to the phone behind the counter, and then Bosch realizes that was when he called him. And
also creepily waving into the camera.
Yeah, because he knew he'd see it later on. And then you see that they're in the hardware store where the murder's taken place.
Yeah. They're also analyzing what he bought. So he bought Christmas lights, battery,
mothballs,
and what
or something. Mothballs.
Mothballs, and what Barrel says looks like a sump pump.
Yeah.
And then Kiss goes, "Christmas lights, mothballs, sump pump. What the fuck kind of list is that?"
Yeah. It is an odd collection. Then
Bosch is looking at the crime scene, right?
He starts to walk around in the shop looking at what's happened and trying to get clues. And then for everyone's favourite person, Pounds enters the shop and goes straight for Bosch and says,
immediately goes off on Bosch.
Yeah, he says, "This isn't your case, Bosch," or something like that. To which Bosch says that Waits had called him, and then Pound says, "You girls going steady? What did he say? What did he say?" And he gets all like riled up, and then Bosch just really kind of gives it back to him
I'm
by
not
saying,
part of this investigation.
Yeah, I'm not part of this investigation. I'll give my report to the lieutenant, and then kind of walks off with a smirk on his face.
Nicely handled, Bosch.
Yeah,
and Pound just stands there looking like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I think one of the things they keep pushing in this is that he is an idiot. Because remember in the early episode we talked about, like, they said that pounds had been put in charge of the manhunt. And everybody they say that to goes, Christ, did they want to catch this guy or not? Implying
but apparently
he
can read a map. We learned that much.
Well, good. That's good. Yeah.
But he keeps so the major interaction is he keeps misjudging Bosch, right? He tries to stand him up like in like verbal shootouts.
Yeah, he's not realized that he's not good at that.
Bosch just gets one over him every fucking time.
Yeah, he's not very smart. So he leaves the shop anyway, and he goes off. And then we see next thing we see is Harry in his car on the road to Vegas, presumably.
No, he's driving through the desert.
Presumably heading towards Vegas to see.
Yeah, he later says where, but I was like, oh yeah.
I know he says I'm somewhere between Barstow and Civilization.
Civilization, yeah. So Barstow is still in California, so he's driving to Vegas. So that's Interstate 15 there.
Excellent.
By the way,
good traffic knowledge. So. Yeah, he's on the road. He's on the phone to Edgar, who says he's found this Johnny Stokes. He's looked him up, one of the old skateboarding friends, and he says he's on probation for drug offences. He's been in prison. He's on probation for drug offences, and then they both he says he's 34 years old, I think, and then Bosch says that makes him a couple of years older.
By the way, but yeah, we'll get to that later. So so we find out he's basically this small-time felon, right? It's like he's been in and out of jail, now he's on probation. And Bosch keeps kind of pushing. It's like, why are you not going over there, like, to his probation officer? And Edgar's like, it's fucking Christmas, mate. Relax. And Bosch is just about to, like, I'm going to turn around now, basically.
Yeah.
Edgar's like... Yeah.
He's too, like, they really push that thing that he can't leave it alone. He basically... Also, I wonder if, like, he's basically scared to go and see... the family, so like any excuse to get out of it, which we'll see later on.
I mean, Billets said that he was that was the thing with the pussy, right?
Don't be such a pussy.
Just not up.
Yeah. So next cut.
Jazz music.
Yeah, I would have said blues
in Vegas.
But there you go. Yeah, he's driving. I would have said blues more than jazz. He's driving through.
I'm not the musical specialist.
Well, I'm going to say
a saxophone.
And then he's one thing I've noticed, which is awesome actually, which is really useful for me with doing this podcast, is on Prime Video when you pause it.
Yeah, they show you the song, right?
It tells you the song. Yeah, it tells you the song.
And all the actors
and all the actors
scene.
And their character names as well, which is like shit. What's that character called? Oh, brilliant!
I mean, I really prefer the Netflix interface, but that is amazing.
That information is useful. Probably because they own IMDb, they can just pull all that shit in anyway.
You're right. They do, right?
They own IMDb, yeah. So they've probably linked it up in some way.
You're right.
Who knows?
But I got the music wrong. So it's blues, but it's fine, Vegas. He's driving along the strip at night. A very prominent shot. You see him and through the window of his car. So you see like it's shot from the passenger seat.
The
right?
fountain, yeah.
The fountain at the Bellagio. That's a been there. My research trip. And
we see Fab in the background. If you look really closely, you see Fab with a notebook in the background.
I just had to go to the Bellagio because of Ocean's 11.
Well, there's that. Yeah. Also, I think it was that one that. I think it's that fountain that Evel Knievel jumped over, or tried to jump over, and Matt got it wrong at one stage. He tried to jump over a lot of things, Evel Knievel. So probably, especially in Vegas as well. So he's
Bosch is...
Go on, sorry.
He's visiting Eleanor, right?
Yeah, so he goes to the house. He goes to the house where Eleanor and Maddie live. And then
I think wow, nice house. And then you see Bosch like acknowledging that too. He does the little...
There's a lot more of that as well later on as well.
Yeah.
When he gets inside the house, he's checking. We'll talk about that in a minute.
So this is so I thought this is interesting. So the whole, also when we meet Eleanor, this is a real contrast to the books. Mm-hmm. So in the books, they get together on his first case.
Yeah.
And then she goes to jail.
Oh.
And because she's so in the books she's an FBI agent. She's a profiler.
Yeah.
Like here, but then she actually gets involved in the case, on the other side.
Really?
Yeah, and then she goes to jail.
Wow.
And then later on, when you meet her again, that's when she lives in Vegas and does the poker thing.
Yeah.
But she's like really poor and just lives in an apartment. So this whole thing with the daughter and the husband, that might come in later in the books, but where I am, ooh, do you hear that?
Yeah, plane or something. Is that?
That is the A380, I guess. Because that's the only plane that you can hear through my windows.
Because it's massive. Yeah, the Airbus.
It's massive. Yeah. I found this today. So there's this guy in I think in Michigan or somewhere. It's like this artist who lives next to the airport, and on his roof he's got like a flat roof. He painted "Welcome to Cleveland," and for years, pretty much everybody is like people looking out the windows, like we're landing in the wrong airport.
Yeah.
So I just want to write on our roof. I just want to write "Welcome to Hanover."
Yeah, you should do actually. That's quite good.
Everyone's like, "What?"
Wouldn't you have to write it in German? I don't know. Maybe both.
Willkommen in Hannover. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Write it in both. Like one.
Just like in Chinese.
Dual language. Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Anyway, so it's a contrast to the books.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's interesting because obviously I didn't know that because I haven't read the books, but I know. The whole thing of them having the daughter already and all that. I think they introduced a lot of that straight from the get-go on this, just because it gave them more.
I can't really remember what
it gave
happened.
them more stuff to explore.
So this is the first book, so it's been now a few months since I read it, and I read so many others. But I think she's like so she's like in the book, she's like in the banking division in the FBI.
Yeah.
She isn't a profiler at this point. As something, it's like she gets, so it's a bank job, and this is like the tunnel thieves, and I think she gets like a cut of the money to not do something, and Bosch finds out something like that. So she gets like she's involved, and then she goes to pay.
Well, they imply throughout this, not this episode so much, but in later series quite a lot, that she's involved in some dodgy stuff with the Chinese triads and stuff, which will come in future series. But so he goes to the door. He rings the bell. There's no answer. So the next stop is he goes to the casino to try and find them. And then the guy in the whatever tells him he's upstairs. She's upstairs.
So he goes to the Aria. So this is the Aria, very posh hotel and casino on the Strip.
Yeah.
And apparently...
So she's in a suite upstairs, he gets told, and he gets up there. And then as he knocks on the door and they open the door, she looks surprised and not necessarily that pleased to see him. And then she goes out to talk to him. And then again, we get more conservative Harry. So this is another bit I put down as like conservative Harry, because he says, "Where's Maddie? I went to the house and she's not there." And she goes, "Well, she'll be out with her friends." And he's like, "It's a school night." And she's like, "It's not a school night. She's off school. It's finished. We finished for holidays."
10:30?
And he's like, "Okay." And she goes, "She'll be home at 10:30." And he goes, "Isn't 10:30 a little late?" And then she goes, like 30 seconds in, and you're already accusing me of being a bad parent.
He's like, he hasn't
conservative
seen like
Harry's
Maddie
like,
for 3 years.
10:30.
Yeah, and he's like backseat parenting. I love how you created. That's good though. Like the meme, like conservative Harry.
Yeah, he
like
kind
that.
of is conservative.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I have different ones. So there's like Smooth Bosch, which is where he's he's putting some moves on Brasher or something.
Shots fired.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like conservative Harry, and then there's other ones as well. Yeah, so they have a bit of it's not exactly an argument, but they're just kind of discussing stuff. And then Reggie, who is a new husband, comes out and says,
I didn't even know what his name was.
His name's Reggie, yeah.
And
so that guy, Hoon Lee, I think his name is, who plays Reggie, is in one of my favourite series, which is Banshee. If you've not seen Banshee, you should watch it.
No.
But it was quite weird for me because in Banshee he plays an incredibly flamboyant, like, gay character.
On Netflix or something?
I don't know if it's on Netflix. It's finished. There's only three episodes. There's only 3 series of it. It's finished. You'd like it. I reckon you'd really like it. It's very kind of hard-hitting and interesting. But he's in that anyway, and he plays like a computer hacker in that, but he's also incredibly flamboyant gay character. So when he came out, I was like, oh, it's Thingy and he's totally different in this. So there you go, acting. He's a good actor.
Is he British? Because he has like this. I mean, he's from Hong Kong apparently.
Yeah,
but
he has
this like.
Yeah.
He has like a British kind of accent. Later on, they go like.
He's from Plymouth, Massachusetts.
From what?
He's from Plymouth, Massachusetts, according to
Whoa,
this.
he does that well because Bosch says like banana. And he says, yeah, banana.
Yeah.
Banana.
Like the Minions. Banana. Sorry, you must know the Minions from the Minion films.
Yeah, of
they
course
always
I know
say
the
banana.
Minions.
That's how they just go banana. Because they love bananas. Yeah, he's now it says he was born in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which is obviously in America. So.
Not Plymouth in the UK.
No, I don't think so. There you go. In Banshee, he's in Banshee, and he's in the Blacklist apparently. But that's not surprising.
Okay.
And he's been in a few other things. But he was really good in Banshee. I recommend that. So anyway, Reggie, his character here, back to his character here, is called Reggie, who's her new husband, and he actually looks really pleased to see Harry, and he says, "Oh, Harry, how you doing?" And that's where the name.
And he says, "Yeah, it's been donkey's."
He says
years.
it's been donkey's years. Yeah.
Have you heard that before? Is it?
Yeah, it's a common expression.
I don't know that. Okay.
It's a common expression in this country. It just means it's been a long time.
Is that like a UK thing? So what does it mean? Just been ages or something?
Yeah, it just means it's been a long time. Yeah.
Why? Why? I mean, you know, I'm. It's not my native tongue, so. There's some
I don't know where the link. I don't know where the link to donkeys comes in, but yeah, it's been donkey's years. Is a really common.
It's British. You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, probably. It's probably not.
Oh, etymology. I'm looking on Wiktionary. Etymology, 1923, from donkey's ears, which is rhyming slang for years.
Oh, well, there you go then.
And then it turned from donkey's ears to donkey's years.
If it's rhyming slang, like Cockney rhyming slang or something, then all bets are off. It could literally be.
Yeah, it is. But so donkey's ears is rhyming slang for years. But then it got morphed to donkey's years. That's just.
So it's longer than the original. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you could just say years. It's been years.
It says here it's a British. Yeah, it does say it's a very British thing, so it is. Maybe that's why. Maybe you're right, because in the characters, if he's from Hong Kong, then there would have been a British influence. If the characters from Hong Kong,
I think they're pushing that
because he has quite a British accent in this. He does a good job. You're right.
So I think they just built that in so that you understand that he's from Hong Kong. I mean, he could have just said, "What-o, what-o, Harry."
Yeah. Come out with a bowler hat. He could have come out with a bowler hat and an umbrella and pipe. Stuff. Yeah.
And like a dinner jacket.
Yeah.
What-o, toodle pip, Harry.
Yeah. So, so he seems quite pleased.
Would you like a sherry?
Would you like a sherry? And a copy of the Financial Times. He seems quite pleased to see him. And then, obviously, he says to her, "We need to go back in," and then they go back in, and Harry leaves, and she says to Harry, "Before he leaves,
tomorrow." Yeah, sorry, yeah,
go on.
Yep. No, she says to Harry.
She says to Harry, "You can see Maddie tomorrow." She goes, "We go to the house tomorrow, and you can see her then."
But before Harry leaves, so they leave, and you have this shot of Harry just standing in that Vegas hotel corridor, and he's got he does that. Titus Welliver is an amazing actor, his body length, he looks like a dog. He looks like a dog which they just leave there. You know, like when you leave a dog outside and it's like a very, 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 dejected, very, very loyal dog, and it's just like wagging its tail, and it's like, "Don't leave me here," but I'm really loyal, so I'm not barking.
Is that a dog voice? That's your dog voice.
It's my dog voice.
Well done. That's like one of the Bee Gees. Well done. It is a good look. You're right. Like. He's good at that. He is very good at that. So
she's at the area playing poker, right?
Yeah, and then I put down here next. We cut to the outside of the casino where Harry calls Brasher. He gets the
no. It's not the outside of the casino because she's playing poker at the area, which is very posh.
But he's outside Circus. You're right.
He's outside Circus, which is rather more low rent further up the strip. 50 years old. I looked it up this year. 50 years old.
Is that all?
Okay. Yeah, founded by no mobster back in the day.
I was just going to say founded by some probably.
I mean, since I've been in Vegas, so I found this album on Spotify. From it's like Sinatra live in Vegas, like at the Sands, and it's amazing. He's like between the songs, he just goes, "Hey, Sammy Davis Jr. I love that can, but he was such a drunk. His mother was also such a drunk. Whenever he comes, like, oh, Frankie, do you want a drink before they come down from upstairs?"
Right. Okay.
It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah,
That was my Sinatra voice, not really a Sinatra voice. Is it?
I don't know what that was, but it was better than the dog voice. I'll give you that.
To the moon and back.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Anyway, so next, I put down that Smooth Harry was back on this one because he phones Brasher, he gets the voicemail, and he says, "Hey, it's me. I was just thinking about you," and all this. And I put down smooth as ever, Smooth Bosch, and then I put down that you also see that he's smoking again. Because after he puts the phone down, he throws a cigarette and puts it out and walks off.
He's smooth as a powder through butter.
That wouldn't be that smooth. It'd spray everywhere. Anyway, so next day, we cut to the next day where he knocks at the door and Maddie answers the door. And she says, "Go ahead, you can say it. You can't believe how much I've grown." And then he kind of, I don't think he doesn't really say that. He kind of laughs and goes, "Yeah." And then so this is the bit now I've put down. Bosch is checking out the house, which is very fancy.
No, she says, "Why do old people always say this?"
She does say that, yeah. And then he's checking out the house as they walk in, which is quite fancy and looks quite expensive.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And then they've got a massive Christmas tree as well.
Biggest Christmas tree I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
it
basically
looks like it's
all
straight
really
from a
kind
forest.
Of ridiculously over the top, I thought. But yeah, I mean, clearly they're doing all right. I was the message that you get from that. And then she says that the other two are still asleep or whatever, or they're not.
So
there.
I wrote on that fucking tree exclamation mark at Dickens Village because they have a Dickens Village.
Yeah. At which point I really wanted Edgar to be there because he could have really got into that.
He was like, "Oh, this is not historic. This is actually not historically correct. That house you want to have."
Exactly. He would have been very into that, I think. So then Harry says he's going to make breakfast. He says, "I'll make you breakfast," and then he makes banana. So the next scene, Harry's make banana pancakes, which look really good actually.
Syrup on the bottom.
That's
my
secret. Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Actually.
Next Sunday, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, so he makes her the banana pancakes, and then Reggie and Eleanor appear, and she says, "Harry made my favourite pancakes," to which Reggie says, "What, chocolate chip?" And she says, "No, banana." And it's like he doesn't know, and that's kind of significant.
And he says, "Oh, yeah, banana." And then Bosch says, "Yeah, banana."
And then a minion pops up and goes, "Banana!" Yeah. So that was a bit interesting. It was kind of like a, he knows me better than you do kind of thing, which is interesting. And then outside, it cuts to outside where Harry's with...
What kind of pancake is chocolate chip anyway?
I've never had chocolate chips in a pancake. I don't know. I've had chocolate chip cookies, mate.
So what's your favorite pancake?
I don't know, actually. That's quite.
Mine's.
This is going to seem incredibly boring, but I'd rather have a plain pancake with, say, bacon or something. And
okay, yeah, bacon. Savory, I like bacon.
Savory.
So the Dutch do this bacon pancake. So my favorite pancake is salami.
Oh, interesting. That's very German.
Because my dad used to So my dad's actually a really good cook.
Oh, cool.
He's really good. He's a lot better than my mom, and she really would admit to that. Mm-hmm. But whenever she wasn't there, we did this guys thing, and we just have pancakes.
Yeah.
But he'd always make savory pancakes with salami in it, and then salami and maple syrup, of course.
That sounds pretty good.
It's like bacon and maple syrup on pancakes. It's amazing.
Yeah, the Americans love bacon and maple syrup.
Oh God, bacon and maple. Oh, so good. By the way, I've discovered when I was in the US. Mm-hmm. I am on the American side of bacon.
What, crispy bacon, you mean?
Yes. I'm a crispy bacon guy.
Okay.
Crispy all the way.
And we have both here in the UK.
Yeah, but
we have other kind what they call Canadian. They call it Canadian bacon in the US.
Squishy bacon.
Which is more...
Oh, Canadian bacon.
Yeah.
Basson Canadien.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. What's... oh no, I'm trying to think what's French for pig. I forgot.
Jambon.
Jambon. That's ham, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, jambon. Yeah, it'd be ham, isn't it?
Jambon Canadien.
Probably. So then we cut...
Wasn't that a tech team?
What? Attacked? It could be, yeah.
Yeah, the Canadian bacon.
I'm surprised they never had bacon and egg or something. That would have been a real... Because imagine the amount of jokes they could have made about omelets and stuff.
If if John O'Bacon goes into wrestling and does like a tag team with a Canadian, they can be like
With,
the
like,
Canadian Bacon.
Dave Egg. Dave Egg and John O'Bacon. I
The
don't know.
Breakfast Boys.
And then they could have that'd be quite good. And then they could have.
Here you go, Jono. You can have that booking for
and then
free.
if the whole journalism, whatever it is, writing for Forbes thing doesn't work out, and you fancy a go at wrestling,
The FWF, the Fab Wrestling Federation.
but then there'd be so many kind of lines you could use, because the egg guy could be like, I'm gonna scramble you, and then they could have whole stuff about you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. You gotta can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And all this kind of stuff. It all
You know
fits
what
in.
Jono's finishing move is?
Oh, go on.
So he packs the guy up, right? He just puts him under one arm and then rolls him along the floor. It's the bacon roll.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Anyway, so actually, you could have any time the other guy gets hit, he could be like eggs over easy. he went overweight. This is anyway.
Oh, he just put him sunny side up.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just too many. It's too easy. Anyway, meanwhile, back at Bosch, he goes. So he cuts to the outside of the house outside Eleanor's house, where Harry's talking to Eleanor, and he asks her to profile weights for him, basically.
Right.
And she says, "I don't do that anymore." And he says, "Yeah, only when you're playing poker," which is an interesting one.
So he's pulling her in apparently. So she used to be an FBI profiler, and he pulls her in, and she's like, yeah, you bought the murder books, didn't you? And then he's like, I brought copies. And she's like, oh, you're off the reservation.
And she says it's not even your case. Yeah.
Yeah, because she knows him. And so he made what he calls a travel book.
Yeah. Oh, he's got an odd idea about travel books. And then he says, he says, Waits, because when she says, what are you doing? It's not your case. He says, Waits keeps contacting me. He got me involved. I put together a travel book and it's in the car. Yeah. To which she kind of sighs and then says, put it under the tree behind the presents. And I put down, that doesn't seem like a great hiding place to me. Put it under the tree behind the presents.
I think the other people, her new husband will know, and Maddie probably as well. I like how she looks like she goes away and drives away in the car, and then she's like, all right.
So I did think it was interesting. As he turns around and walks back in, he appears to have all his gun belt on and everything. Harry, this is.
Yeah, with his phone.
Yeah, but I put down, Harry appears to have his gun belt on. He's on vacation. He's also out of his jurisdiction. Doesn't he ever take the gun off? Because, I'm imagining you can't just, if you're a policeman, walk around with your gun all the time, no matter where you are.
I think you can. Yeah. He has. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even in the US, I think you even can use your service weapon as long as you're on the force. I mean, he probably just has a carry permit.
All right. Okay.
And I think even in places, I think Vegas is actually a place with very strict gun laws, kind of like New York, where you usually can't carry concealed, but I think police always can.
Right. Okay.
So I think that is pretty.
Well, he's very attached to his gun. He doesn't leave it.
I think he just carries it around. I mean, something might happen. He might
just
need
in case he
He's
needs to
always
shoot
on
someone.
The job. Yeah. He's Harry Bosch. What do you? I mean, come on, it's not that far fetched.
In case he goes to the shop and they're a bit they're not forthcoming with his change, you can get the gun and go, "Where's my change?" All that sort of stuff. But it fits in anyway because they
at the breakfast. We had him asking Maddie if she wanted to do something cool. Right? And now we cut to conservative Harry, who's concerned that his daughter is out at 10:30 on Christmas holiday.
Without a gun.
And has possibly pierced ears, which she actually has. Yeah. You see, you notice she has pierced ears at 14, right? And now she's taking her to a shooting range.
Yeah, so I put down. I put down that he's teaching her to shoot. But considering the last thing I put down was he's always carrying his gun. I suppose at least he's going to a shooting range. That kind of makes sense. So he's teaching her how to shoot, and then he tells her to have a few goes, and then she gets
nice acting by her as well. She shoots the first time and just completely believably goes holy crap.
Yeah. And then he says to her to have a few shots in one go and keep her finger on the trigger, and then she does manage to hit the target a few times in that, and he says to her, "You're a natural." then
I actually think they're shooting with live ammo in this.
it looks like
I don't think this is staged.
It
The
does
way
look
it's
like
shot,
it,
it
yeah.
does actually look like they're actually shooting.
Yeah, it does, definitely does. And then we cut to Edgar.
She wants the zombie target next.
She says, "Get the zombie target." Yeah, and then it cuts to Edgar, who's with Stokes' parole officer,
The
who's
PO,
just checking. Yeah, and he says that Stokes
And she's
is
like,
a
"So
model.
what's he done?" Like,
Yeah. But he also says
really
he's like a
wary
model,
of his job.
like parolee. He says like,
But
"I wish they were all
but
like
at
that."
first he's like, "Oh, this one guy," and he's like, "Oh, what's he done?" And then he just looks up the file, and then he sees, well, he's a model citizen as far as you can go when you're on probation, I guess.
Yeah, but that's really just a short little aside, because then it's straight back to the shooting range. With Bosch and Maddie again, who are leaving the thingy, and he says to her about how that zombie target didn't stand a chance or something like that. He says to her,
And she's like, I want to be a vet, but now I think I want to be a police officer. And
Yeah.
I'm writing down, Eleanor's gonna be pissed.
"Yeah, that's definitely true." So yeah, and
Did
then
you also notice the sign on the door? Because you were talking about the weapon,
yeah.
when they leave the shooting range, it says like, "Oh, when you enter, please unload and unholster all your weapons."
yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't read.
And
that.
so that's typically US, where you bring like your gun to
you
the
bring your
shooting
own
range.
guns, and then you have to
Like
put
in
those
Germany,
down.
the guns are like at the shooting range, like locked.
Yeah.
And here they just bring everything.
But when
I
it says
think he shot
unload
with
your
his
weapon
service-
when you get to the door, I'm imagining some rednecks coming in and just shooting the place up. It does say unload your weapon.
Yeah,
How else do you
not
unload
loaded
a weapon?
anymore.
Yeah. Anyway,
Trevor, unload your weapon.
yeah. So she says she's been.
I think he shoots.
Go on.
I think he shoots with his service weapon as well.
Yeah, that's probably why he's
So,
got
so
it.
interesting. When I was doing shooting here, I was doing it with a SEK guy who's that's like the German SWAT team. Mm-hmm. And he had so he had a Glock 17 as his service weapon, right? Mm-hmm. And he had a Glock 17 for his shooting thing. Mm. And he would always go would carry his weapon, but then he'd had to lock up his weapon in the shooting range because he was not allowed to shoot a service weapon.
Yeah.
So he had to bring the second Glock, which is exactly the same Glock
That's the other one. Yeah.
as the other one, but then take the magazine. He always took the magazine out of the because he could use the ammunition or something. But it's he can't use that gun. Like, what the fuck? They're the exact same guns. No, it's German bureaucracy. We count how much bullets were fired from this gun.
It'd be the ballistics as well, wouldn't it? Because if he shot someone with the service weapon, the ballistics would tie it back to that.
Yeah, but it's what the fuck? The other guns registered to him as well. It's not
I don't know. Maybe it's not registered to the police.
I think if you shoot somebody in Germany as a police officer, the problem is not which gun you used.
No,
the problem is that you shot somebody and that you're a police officer probably as well.
Yeah, probably.
I think you lose your job either way. It's hey, I didn't use the service weapon. I shot him with my personal one.
You should do, unless you're Bosch, and then you just get a $1 fine.
All right then, yeah.
Which interestingly links in because
it was good shooting. Good shooting.
Exactly, yeah. It was a righteous kill or whatever they call it. Maddie asks him as they go out to the car, "I've been reading about you on the internet, this trial," and then she says, "Is it true that your mum was a prostitute?" And then Harry says, "She was a good person. I wish you could have met her." And then she says they talk about the trial, and he says that it wasn't a big deal, and he got fined $1, and she says, "Oh well, that's not so bad."
So let me guess. You wrote the line down about Skype.
I wrote the Skype line down. So she says to him, "When you get back to LA, can we Skype?" To which Harry, showing his lack of technical knowledge again, says, "Skype, is that like Hulu?" Which
also
is a TV.
Hulu, really dated,
Well, Hulu's still popular in America, I think.
Yeah,
you can't get it
still,
anywhere else, but you know.
I mean, this is from 2014 or something, but still, in 2014 it was also already dated, I think.
Yeah, probably. It's still. I know people still use it in the US. So, as you predicted, we cut to the house again. Eleanor is pissed off with Harry for taking Maddie shooting, but she does say that she's looked at the weight stuff. And she talks about how she thinks Waite's name might be fake, and she talks about the French fox that you were talking about.
We get the renard. The fables,
how
the fox.
He thinks he's clever, and he's always getting one over on people.
And he has a castle where he waits.
Yeah, exactly.
And Bosch is like the dim-witted fox, which I guess is a
dim-witted wolf, I think it is, isn't it?
Wolf, sorry, yeah. So renard is a fox, like the smart fox, and the wolf's dumb.
Mm-hmm. And it says you're a cop and you symbolize brute strength, basically, because you're a cop. He's convinced. She tells him that
which is reinforced by the way he stands in every scene.
He does look like quite rigid.
Like it's like.
He looks a bit like he's been riding a horse for a while and he can't close his legs. Because he's like that John Wayne thing where he like struck.
Yep.
Anyway, so she says that he's convinced, this is Waite, is convinced that he's smarter than the police and he has a basement or a dungeon, she says. Harry says that because they look through his shopping list.
Well, no. She goes, sump pump, lights, this must be for his lair. And then Harry goes, what's the mothballs for? And she's going, my dad used to throw them on the house to get rid of the rats.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, must have it. And so she figures out what like Barrel and Kiss and Harry couldn't.
Yeah, and she also says that he's probably French or has a French background in his family because of the fox thing.
She's like an American would know about this, which I guess is
and also
a good assumption.
Yeah, and also the
hey fox, what?
Yeah,
what are you talking about, boy?
Yeah, and she talks about that Waite's
foxes are gay.
Yeah, she says that he doesn't see himself as gay, and she thinks that he was like done it as basically what he does with the guys and killing them stuff is like lashing out against, like he's fighting back against some kind of abuser or something.
Well, her analysis is that the rapes was post-mortem, very brutal. So she says he can only achieve an erection after the killing rage.
She's probably true that because when in that earlier scene from the last episode where he kills the guy in the hospital.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Not in the hospital, in the motel bed thing. He has a very.
He couldn't get it on.
Yeah, he has a very suspicious smile on his face after he's like cracked the guy's neck or suffocated.
Well,
him
also like the guy reaches like down his pants, and he just doesn't want that because the guy will see that he's like, I don't know, flaccid probably because he
maybe
and so her theory is that he was like raped as a kid, and this is like his revenge thing. But it has turned into like what she says is compulsion. Yeah,
definitely. And Harry. So I put this down. I don't know if you noticed this, but all the time she's talking, she's looking at not all the time, but she keeps looking at the book. And I wrote down, Harry stares at her longingly the whole time while she's talking. He does.
Really? I didn't.
He does. Yeah. If you watch the scene again, every time she's looking down, he never breaks eye contact with it. Well, as she looks down, he just spends the whole time just like staring at her. And I thought that might have been significant, but I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Probably. I mean, Titus Feller was great, so must have been on purpose.
So,
and she is good looking. We have to say she's quite.
Yeah. Although there's more than
you can see why the good Chinese guys want to play poker with her.
Right. But she put down that Harry says he's breaking the pattern. He's breaking his pattern. And then she says he's playing his end game. He likes the danger, the thrill, the rush, and he wants attention, especially yours. So
that's why he keeps calling Harry as well.
He does, yeah. He keeps trying to get his attention. And that's it for that scene. I put down. So then we're back in the.
Well, she also says he's not going to let you take him alive.
Yeah, but I don't think Harry wants to take him alive anyway. He's already told him he wants to shoot him. It's like,
he's Harry Bosch.
If you don't shoot yourself, I'm going to shoot you, basically. So it's one of
that's his MO.
That's
what he does.
It is. And then next scene, we cut to a dinner, family dinner in a restaurant, or actually I think it's the hotel casino.
Yeah, it's a casino restaurant. I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell now.
They discuss the Lau family, Lau, which Maddie...
Oh, you wrote down the name. Wow.
I did. Well, yeah, you've got to get the details. Any detective knows you've got to have the details. So they discussed the Lau family, and Maddie wants to invite the Lau family for dinner or something. And then they talk about how the mother is a kleptomaniac and she keeps nicking things.
So basically, last time they were there, she stole a $30,000 Rolex.
Yeah.
And Bosch like, what happened to her? It's like, oh, the casino let her keep it because her husband lost like 300,000 that
already
night.
At the casino.
Like, cost of doing business.
That's right.
Back to Frankie and The Godfather.
It's very true. Yeah, it's true. So Harry is uncomfortable. He looks quite uncomfortable at this dinner, if you like, and he excuses himself and walks off to make a phone call, where he calls Edgar, who's wrapping a car or something, some kind of toy for one of his kids.
Yep.
And he says, Edgar gives him an update, just saying he knows where the guy is. This Stokes is now working in a car wash, and Harry's like, why haven't you gone over there? What's wrong with you? And he says, I'm going to come back immediately, to which Edgar says, this is why I didn't call you. He's not going anywhere. Enjoy Christmas with your family, and then hangs up on him, which is quite good, and then, which really pisses him off, because he's like, ah!
Also, car wash is on Pico.
Yeah.
Which I know because my Airbnb was just off Pico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you could have seen...
It's all the car washes. Bosch later says this when he got to backup. It's on corner Beverly Glen and Pico.
Yeah.
Which is in Rancho Park. And I was way further down Pico in Mid-City.
Oh, okay.
Pico goes all the way down to Santa Monica.
Oh, I was going to say, did you see a car wash? But if it's that long a road...
There were a lot of car washes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did also see a car wash.
Excellent. So he's pissed off that Edgar's hung up on him, and then he goes back and tells Maddie and the others that he's got to leave because of work, which is obviously bullshit, really, but he just wants to get out of there. He's looking for an excuse. He says to them that he'll be back on Christmas Day, promises that Maddie that he'll be back for Christmas Day. And then he offers to contribute for the dinner, which is interesting. This all links back into the house, I thought, the expensive house and the fact that the other guy's like really rich and all the rest of it. He says he offers to contribute to the dinner, but they say, oh, no, of course not. And I put down...
Which I guess wasn't cheap because it's in a casino restaurant and they're not cheap, let me tell you.
No.
I'm still paying the credit card bills.
Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, they refused to let him pay, and then
also this was in earlier scenes as well. The new husband keeps calling him old man.
He does, yeah.
And in this episode,
he calls him young man, doesn't he? Or something?
Yeah, he calls him young man in this exchange. Yeah,
yeah.
So it's like a playful thing. I thought when they first met, so he said in an early episode, right? He said he had only met him once before.
Yeah, I thought that, but they're very kind of matey.
Yeah, they are cordial. They're quite surprisingly... So it's like a grudging... It's not even grudging. It's like a respect thing, right?
But I also... Yeah, and also I thought the fact that he's playing this very British kind of character...
Yeah, he's like old chap.
What, ho, old man? And it's not really offensive, I don't think. Old boy, old bean. Yeah.
Phil Pip, Harry!
You know what they should have done? They should have given that guy a monocle. That would have really set it off if he had a monocle, and then he would have looked like the Monopoly man. I know
why they didn't give him a bowler head. I can tell you that because he would just look just like Oddjob.
He would look like Oddjob.
Like a slightly taller Oddjob.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so he leaves. He goes to leave. Eleanor follows him and says, "You basically says that you've got to make sure you come back. You promised." And he says, "I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll come back." And then she gives him a phone, at which he says, "Is that a smartphone? I hope it's not smarter than me."
Yeah, no, smarter than the one you got. Hope it's not smarter than me.
That's right. Yeah. And
now,
which links? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, sorry.
I was just going to say, we hear more about the phone later when Edgar...
Yeah, later. But we now cut to L.A., car park in L.A., where we see a car window roll down.
This scene was badass.
And we're like,
I love this scene.
This is Irving. Yeah. But no, it's a double whammy. It's Irving and O'Shea, both rolling up in those SUVs, both doing the window roll down
both doing
thing
the slow window roll. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So O'Shea basically stole Irwin's thing.
Irvin's better at it though. There's no way.
Yeah,
no one does the slow window roll and gaze, eyes, fixed eyes.
as Irving,
Like Irv.
Irving.
Yeah, so I put down...
Who calls this whole thing, they're talking about the weights fiasco.
Yeah, and I put down Irving meets O'Shea in a car park, very classy, because he always meets him in some dodgy car park. And then he says that Irving says that they shouldn't be trading shots at each other in
nice
public.
View, though. It's a nice view on the downtown high-rises there.
It is, actually, yeah. Yeah, and he says they shouldn't be trading shots at each other in public, meaning the DA and the police. And he says, which is brilliant. This line's so good. He kind of casually says, which is why I've refrained from releasing my copy of the video. And he goes like, and then like, you know, kind of, he doesn't like do the full hog and like wink at him or anything, but he basically could have done at that point.
Yeah.
At which O'Shea obviously realizes he's in the shit.
And you can see his face like going. He's a good actor though, as well.
Yeah.
This guy used to be in Jag, I think.
Well, he says, Irving's lines are really good, the way he delivers them as well, because O'Shea says to him something like, oh, yeah, but all it shows is, like, you know, the guy getting away, Waite's getting away while he's in LAPD custody.
Before you go to that, O'Shea, you see his face going kind of like stony, and then he says, your copy?
That's right.
And then Irving doesn't say anything, and you can see, like, understanding dawn in O'Shea's eyes.
He thought they were all gone. Yeah, he thought they were all gone. I put down O'Shea tries to push back but gets nowhere because he says stuff about like it just shows the LAPD. And I put down Irv is cool under pressure, and he says says to him, well, from my recollection, the video shows that you doing something that people might call what's the word? Cowering or something, or he says, "Oh, like, were you kind of cower behind?" Which is good. And then he basically has a go at him over. He basically winds him up over his chances of becoming mayor, which he says one of the best lines. He says, "LA." This Irv says, "LA is a three-piece suit, black, white, and brown." And he says, "And my endorsement would go a long way in the black community."
What is it with like? I find this really interesting about like the US, you know, the whole World War II thing, you know, with Hitler and Germany and now like 80 years later, it's like everything's about racism.
Yeah, kind of.
The whole thing, everything's like fucking racism. It's like, well, the black community and
yeah.
Where's the current chief from? Yeah, it's like Philly something.
Yeah, that's right. So he basically tells Irv that he'll make him the next police chief. The
deal is Irv doesn't release. So O'Shea really asked, directly asked, "What do you want, Irv?" And then that's where he comes up with the 3-piece suit thing. So basically, the deal is Irv doesn't release this video.
He becomes police chief.
And endorses O'Shea, and O'Shea makes him chief.
Yeah, and then as they drive off, you're about to say.
Well, then the meetings. Well, before that, the meeting's over because O'Shea needs to get to the whatever thing,
Messiah.
like the Messiah.
It's Handel's Messiah, isn't it?
Whatever it is.
It's an opera piece, Handel's Messiah. To which, what's her name? Says, I hear they've got a really great tenor this year or something. Yeah. They've got a really good tenor.
But then before they drive off, like Irv's driver goes like, he'll fuck you. He'll fuck you over if he can.
No doubt.
Like,
no doubt.
Yeah. He's got the reading glasses on already. He's like reading the next report. He's already, thinking it's like, no doubt.
The way he says it's really good. He just goes like, no doubt. That's it. He's cool. I like that guy. Washington, his name is, I think, but they call him Wash, the driver. And then so that's the end of that scene. I really enjoyed that scene. I love Irv. Irv's brilliant. So next scene, Bosch is at the car wash with Edgar in the car, and they're over the road somewhere, kind of staking it out, checking it out, looking for Stokes. They see him, and then they call. So this is cool. He calls Mac for backup, and he says, and Mac says,
Mank,
not Mank, yeah. And he says, I'm just fixing my notes because I read.
Well, he says, I'm going to send over somebody from 77th. I think.
Yeah, and he says, I'd rather have cops that I know or something, to which he says, Mank says, I'll send a car, Edge and Brasher, and then he goes, is that going to be a problem because it's Brasher, to which Bosch
what
says
is
it's
going to be
problem.
The problem that Bosch is going to fuck her right there, like on the hood of the squad car?
No, it might be that they've fallen out. I mean, how do we know? I mean, Who knows?
So what's the worst case scenario here? Like either
They
Bosch
have a
is gonna
blazing row.
do her right there, or like Russia's going to shoot at Bosch. Is that like
given her proclivity for like shooting before asking questions? Yeah, maybe.
Fucking Bosch again! I didn't want to see this guy here.
Yeah. So the bit I loved is Edgar says to him, "I didn't know they still made flip phones," and Harry says,
Yes.
"Just for guys like me."
That's a smartphone. Like,
well, he says, "Is that a new
flip
phone?" And then Harry goes, "Yeah, it's a present from the ex-wife or something." To which Edgar goes, "I didn't know they still made flip phones." It's just really good. And he says, "Just for guys like me." So they send Edge and Brasher. They next scene, Edge and Brasher. Well, this is the last scene, really. It's a long scene. Edge and Brasher turn up in the car, and they kind of brief them. To which they say, "No guns. We just want to ask them some questions. No drama." And
they don't leave their guns there. They all have their guns. I don't know why he says that.
Well, she's got a reputation for like shooting first, doesn't she? And it's her who says to him, "What about guns?" And he says, "No guns," because she's like, "Can I shoot someone?" And he's like, "No, you can't shoot anyone." So
I can shoot him in the leg, then he can't go away.
What about if I just wound him a bit? And no. So they go to the car. So they get them to back them up. Then Edgar and Bosch walk over to the car wash, and then of course straight away everybody runs because they're
so they're all like illegals or whatever. And then this was from the book. I found this really interesting. They yell 5-0.
Yeah, that's Hawaii 5-0. Yeah.
Well, it's now it's code for police now.
It is. You don't listen to hip hop, do you? Because I know, and you're not a big rap fan. Because
I do listen to Chap Hop.
Oh, okay. Well, they don't talk about 5-0 and
MC Front a lot, but they don't. They don't go on about the police. They're all processors.
So they do. So being an old school rap fan, I can tell you that if you listen to any album by Ice Cube from like early 90s, any of that time, they just talk about 5-0 all the time. 5-0 is the police. Okay. So yeah,
I'll tell you, Mr. B would say to this that just rapping about the police just isn't proper.
Maybe not.
I'd rather rap about my cup of tea.
It's true, but I've got to be honest. I like Mr. B, and I love Professor Elemental. I spent some time with him in the pub. He's fantastic.
Oh, dropping the names.
I did. Yeah, he's a friend of a friend. So he's a top guy. But I've got to be honest. I fancy Ice Cube over. If it came down to a rumble, I think I'd fancy Ice Cube ahead of Mr. B with his little ukulele.
I am on the side of the chap hop.
Okay.
Hand me my fighting trousers.
Yeah, fetch me my fighting trousers. Anyway, so
not those, Jeffrey. They're my time traveling trousers.
Actually, there's a whole book based around that I've just read that was just released. About it's only a small book. It's called it's a book about Jeffrey called it's about Jeffrey and his time and the time travel trousers and him getting lost in time, basically.
Is that like a book? It's like Ape Quest, the album. I love Ape Quest.
Kind of. So it only came out recently. I read it recently, the book. It's good. It's only a very short book, but it's called Orangutangled, which I quite liked. And it's so it's got two titles. The one's called Saving Primate Jeffrey is one, and the other title is Orangutangled, but it's about Jeffrey getting lost in time with the space travel trousers and them having to try and get him back. It's all like it's not written by Professor Elemental, but he writes the forward to it, and it's good. It's worth a read. You can pick it up from his website or other places, probably.
So apparently 5-0 is code for the police, and they're all running away.
Yeah, so they've all run away. So they have to chase. Stokes runs as well. So they start to chase him through the car wash. To which he sprays Harry in the face with some kind of cleaning fluid, which blinds him.
Straight from the book, by the way.
Right. Okay. Which blinds him.
All straight from the book.
They radio for backup. So the unis are already there.
And we learn that Bosch's radio call sign is 6 William 21. 6 is the code for Hollywood division.
Okay.
And William, as in W, is a code for divisional detectives.
Okay.
So this is all legit. And I guess 21 is their car. It's like their unit number. So that's Bosch and Edgar.
Yep. So they go. Edgar's in pursuit. Harry's still kind of blinded by the stuff. And then Edgar runs after him, and he Stokes runs off into one of the apartment complexes. And
Bosch
then
washes out his eyes.
Yeah, and then Bosch
calls for an
arrives.
airship once again.
He does, and then Bosch arrives, on the scene outside the thingy, but he still can't see properly because you can see he keeps like squinting and rubbing his eyes, and he can't really make out.
The camera's all weird.
Yeah, he can't make out Edgar very well. It's all soft focus, and and his eyes are still sore.
I think they put Vaseline over the lens. That's pretty much what it looks like.
Yeah, they probably do, actually. That's quite a common trick, I think. So then they go into an underground car park, which is where they've seen him go in. Brasher, so they hear Harry's looking around, and then he hears Brasher shouting, get on the floor or get against the wall or something. And then he sees kind of through the window of a car, through the side window of a car, he can see that Brasher's got Stokes against the wall, and then he's
got both hands against the wall.
Yeah,
clearly.
And then they hear a gunshot. Well, that'll be significant later, won't it? And then they hear a gunshot. You hear a gunshot. Brasher goes down, and then Harry runs over and cuffs Stokes and all that. And then Brasher's quite clearly been badly injured, but they don't know where the bullets come from. But interestingly, because her and Edge seem to have like a, well, for want of a better term, edgy relationship, and they don't seem to really. Well, they don't get on. He keeps writing her up for things. Edge arrives in his car, and then, like everybody else, assumes that Brasher's been shot by Stokes, and then starts to kick the shit out of him, and then starts to absolutely kick the shit out of. I put Edge arrives and loses his shit. Basically, starts kicking the hell out of Stokes, who's on the floor, handcuffed at this point, until Edgar stops him, and then Bosch is trying to help Brasher, and he's saying you'll be okay. And then it cuts a little bit. Well, it doesn't really. I suppose it cuts a bit to a bit more in the future. A bit further on, where all the AMTs have arrived and everyone else is there. And Brasher.
Well, they're waiting for FID because Officer involved shooting.
Yeah, and Brasher's on the stretcher, and she says she's clearly worried. She says to Harry, "You saw what happened?" And he's like, "Oh, I saw some of it." And then she says to him, "You saw him go for my gun, right?" To which he doesn't answer, and he just says, "Talk."
Well, he says you're in shock.
No, he says. Well, he doesn't answer the question. He says, talk to your rep before you make a statement."
Well, yeah. He says, he says, saw what happened, and you saw him go for my gun, right? To which Bosch just looks and says, "You're in shock. Don't say anything to anyone. Talk to your rep first."
Yeah,
so
he says, I saw some of it. He doesn't say he saw hardly any of it.
Yeah,
really.
But after that, she says, you saw him go for my gun. He says, you're in shock.
She wants him to say he's going to back her up, basically.
So he's obviously saying, I didn't see that.
No,
saying you're in shock. He's like, and I watched this back. The first time I saw this, I was confused, as I think you're supposed to be when you watch this. When you watch this normally, and it just all happens very fast, and you don't really know what happened. But if you watch it back, you clearly see that he had Stokes had his hands against the wall.
Yeah,
and Brasher has like her hand
on
in her vest or something, and then the shot just goes off. So he didn't see.
No, and also his eyes are still messed up as well. Bosch, that is. So you still get that weird camera effect at times. So you can't, and he's looking through a car window as well.
But even though, also if you read a book, it's a bit clearer that he so in the book he doesn't trust his eyes because he had this thing, but it's like written as if he sees. So it keeps going on about his hands being against the wall. So he says, so he basically doesn't trust his eyes, but he basically saw that he didn't went for a gun.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that'll more about that in a future episode. And then as she gets put on the ambulance or whatever, he walks back and he sees Edgar, who says, "Harry, what the hell happened?" To which Bosch says, "I've got no idea." And Edgar looks a bit pissed off, and then he goes to leave. He says, "I'm taking him to the station," and Edgar says, "But aren't you going to wait for FID?" And he says, "I'll talk to them at the station." And then he gets.
By the way, this is not optional. Like he is a direct. he's a direct witness.
I thought that
Like,
he wouldn't be.
He's not supposed.
Yeah.
No, he's not allowed to leave. He must stay there.
Yeah.
We have an officer involved shooting. FID's on the way. He I think this heavily disciplinary. He can't leave, but he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And Edgar's like, yeah, it's Bosch. I've tried to argue with him for the last.
There's no
10
point in
years.
Edgar trying to stop him because he's not going to listen
Yeah.
to Edgar, is he? So then he gets in the car with Stokes and basically they drive off. Well, somebody else is driving, but he tells the driver to start. And as they drive off, he does this really awesome look on his face that's like incredibly...
Yeah, it's like close up of his face.
Yeah, and he looks really, really worried as they drive
But
off.
also, like, I can understand him. He's going, like, I need to, like, save this guy because everybody thinks he shot Brusher, right? So they're gonna... This is the LAPD, basically.
Well, he says, doesn't he? He says,
him.
I need to protect him or something. He says
Right,
to Edgar,
so something's gonna happen to him. I need to protect him and take him to the station. Everything's okay, right? So Bosch going off the reservation, leaving, even though FID needs to talk to him. Like, but what's the fucking driver doing? Like, I was fully suspecting Bosch to drive the squad car.
Yeah, you're
And I
right.
think-
Somebody else is clearly driving.
I didn't notice this the first few times I watched this, but there's like an officer driving. It has to, because you want to have that shot of Bosch's face looking like straight ahead, right? But it's like, what's he doing? It's like, I mean, he must know that Bosch can't leave.
Maybe,
Like-
who knows? Also, when he talks to... very briefly, I didn't write this. It's one of the few lines I didn't write down. But when he very briefly talks to Stokes before they leave, he says to him, like, because Stokes is going, "Oh, you saw I didn't touch her or I didn't shoot her and all that stuff," and he just goes like, "Shut the hell up" and something else. But he says a few things that are a bit odd, and then so that guy driving or girl driving would have heard all that as well. So you're like, well,
He's a guy, yeah. But
so they would have heard all of like Bosch's exchange with the guy in the back of the car. So it's a bit odd. I don't know. Maybe they just needed to get that awesome shot of him in the passenger seat, so they were like, "Well, he's got to be in the passenger seat."
I think
So-
that's the thing. Yeah.
And then roll credits. That's the end of the episode. So good episode, I thought. Excellent episode.
Yeah, I like that as well. You were saying like the last episode is so well received. When we
was it the last one? The one where he escapes. Wasn't that the one before? The one where
or the one before, yeah,
episode 4.
But yeah. But I like this one. I think I probably like this more. I think this was cool. It's like the whole Las Vegas angle, and Maddie, and I thought this was just fun.
It is, yeah. It's a really, really good, really good episode. I enjoyed this one a lot, and I like the. I know that there's lots of it, but I like particularly some of the little sarcastic lines that they have and stuff. Like, they still make flip phones. I didn't think they still made those. And all this kind of stuff. I think they overdo, though, for me. And I know Bosch is supposed to be, like, old-fashioned and, I don't understand anything about technology. But do they have to bring that up every 5 seconds? Every time somebody mentions anything to do with, like, technology or any kind of technology, beyond, like, old fucking telegrams or something, Harry's like, what? What is that? I don't understand. And you're like,
I think that's they still write these shows if people just watch one a week.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and not
maybe.
just binge watch them. I think that's you have to hammer it down. I think if you binge watch, also like having read that book where Bosch is like in the public library and gets like the fucking
he can't Google something.
Library assistant to use Bing for him or Google or what. It's like it's not Google, but it's like I think
Yahoo.
Bing, because it's like they go on about it being like a search, like in an ad where they always drive. It's Bing,
Okay.
and it's like, how do I enter these search terms? And it's that's from like the early 2000s, so it's a bit more believable. But it's like they drive that home quite a lot.
It's not Ask Jeeves, then, is it? Or something like that. What were the other ones? Lycos, that was quite popular at one time. I don't know if anyone ever used it now. So
Alta Vista. I was an Alta Vista guy back in the day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't. Yeah,
There was a time when Alta Vista was better than Google.
Yeah.
And I religiously used Alta Vista because Google was shit. And then I can remember when I just gave up because at some point Google was just better. And I can still remember that feeling of, okay, let's just use Google then.
I wonder if Alta Vista
and
is
that's
still there. Oh yeah, I'm looking it up. I want to know if Alta Vista is still going. No. Well, you go there and it's got an invalid certificate on it, which is not a great start. It says your connection is not secure. So I'm gonna be crazy and go, yeah. Oh,
I got altavista.com, and it's like, it looks like a park domain, and it has like links to DuckDuckGo and whatever. It says help search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
No, interesting.
Altavista has no connection with any of the following links.
On this, according to this, so I'm getting, when I go to HTTP.
What's Mama? Mama.com search engine.
I don't know. When I go to altavista.com, it took me to HTTPS straight away, which then gives an invalid certificate. But on the thing, it says, certificate is only valid for the following names: search.yahoo.com, search.yahoo.net, local.yahoo.com. It's basically a shitload of Yahoo things.
It used to belong to, according to Wikipedia, it used to belong to Yahoo from 2003 to 13.
Oh, okay.
And since 2017, it belongs to Oath.
Oh, it just doesn't go anywhere for me. No,
and they also own AOL and Yahoo.
Hold on, let me search Google for Alta Vista.
HuffPo.
I'm now crossing the streams.
Just Bing it.
Oh, don't fuck off. Vista. Where are we now? Alta Vista, web-based search.
So I heard this interesting theory on a podcast. I can't remember what podcast it was. Wasn't that Wrestle Me, where they were going on Bing is really good for porn?
Apparently,
porn images.
Apparently. So according to this, Alta Vista was bought by Yahoo in 2003.
Yeah. This right now belongs to Oath because Yahoo belongs to Oath.
Right. Anyway, so with that weird kind of tangent at the end, we started off talking about Tommy Chong, and now we've gone into like old search engines.
Yeah, this is why this show is 40 minutes over par.
Yeah. So meanwhile, what have we learned from this episode? What do you think?
We know that Bosch's call sign is what was that? 6 William 21. His cell phone number, although possibly not complete, is 323-2445.
Yeah.
There he is. Sometimes he morphs into conservative Harry.
He does. We also learned that that the what's her name, Sheila, the sister, was routinely beating, quite badly beating Arthur.
That almost went under after all the other crap. Yeah.
So that's quite a serious thing.
Waits is building a cave, but we know that because we've seen him in the cave.
Yeah, he also can't get it up unless he's killed someone, apparently, which is bizarre, to say the least.
Wow.
Yeah. We also learnt that what's his name? Don't mess with Irving. Because he
don't
knows
have window roll down battles in car parks with Irv because you're gonna lose.
Never enter a staring competition with Irv because he will win. Also,
if I was in that scene, if I was being O'Shea, I would have just had my window button on the thing, just go up and then down again, randomly, just to mess with him, like.
It's just a staring competition. I reckon they should do a spin-off called "Don't Mess with Irv," where he just rolls up to people with his car and rolls the window down, like staring at them.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, exactly, like Better Call Saul. It could be "Don't Mess with Irv." Yeah, I like that. So we learnt that. Yeah, we learnt a few things, but I think it's building nicely. Also, the other thing I meant to mention, which I didn't, is this is episode 6, and there's only 10 episodes, so we're now into the the second half of the season, if you like. We're now onto the downhill kind of run towards the end.
More next year.
Yeah, that's true. So for a Christmas present, a bumper episode for Christmas. No, I was just going to say it's a bumper episode to keep you going over Christmas.
Special long episode. So if Irv is going to start rapping, right?
Really?
Because his name is Irvin Irving, right?
They call me 5-0. No, sorry.
Irv. Wouldn't he be Irv squared?
It could be Irv squared, yeah. Let's see. Yeah,
I think I'm the 5-0 motherfucker.
The 5-0 crew, yeah. Irv Irving and the 5-0 crew. I don't know. Maybe. I always wondered because I know for years now, since like the late 80s, early 90s, 5-0's been really popular in in hip hop kind of parlance as police. But I always wondered if that came from Hawaii Five-0 or if Hawaii Five-0 took it from somewhere else.
Well, in the book, they are actually talking about this when they are at the car wash. They're talking about why they say 5-0.
Okay.
And in the book, he writes that it comes from the show. Apparently,
yeah.
I've also looked this up. Apparently, it comes from the show, and they just. I think it's just nonsense thing. The Hawaii 5-0 is just. I think because it's the 50th state.
Yeah.
They just went, oh, we need a code.
Sorry, that's a really good. That's a really good theme.
Like, when we were in Australia, Katie and me last year, we did a helicopter. Trip, like, fly around the reef, and it was one of those helicopters, like this really small, it's like a Bell something. I just call it the Hawaii 5-0 helicopter. It's like when we were getting in, I was like to Katie, I was like, this is like a Hawaii 5-0. She's like, what? Because I think the only Hawaii 5-0 she sees is like the new one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've heard that's really bad.
With the guy with the fucking Dodge or whatever, like with the hair.
I haven't seen that new one, but I've heard it's not very good. It doesn't look that good to me.
It's not as good as the original. Can you tell you that much?
No, couldn't be. Anyway, on that note,
in like 20 years they'll have a Bosch remake, like
with
a really young guy,
with young Bosch. Yeah, but then the technology is going to be even more stupid if it's like.
Well, it's going to be all VR, and
you'll be like
just
hologram.
Yeah. What is that? Let me just use my iPhone 6.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just use my iPhone.
They still make those, just for me.
Yeah, they still make them in China somewhere, where everybody else. Well, China will have taken over the world by then anyway, so we'll all be living in China by then. Is my prediction. But there you go. Enough of that. So thanks very much for listening. We'll see you in the new year. What do we need to do? We need to thank Bitemark for giving us hosting. Yeah. We need to say
the Bourbon Boys for the great intro song, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
We have a Discord community where you can, links will all be in the show notes. You can comment on GitLab. We do have an email address that's on there as well. At HW Outlaws on Twitter.
A what? An email? I don't understand this. Is that like
it's like
a letter?
It's kind of like Skype, you know?
Is it like Hulu? Okay.
The funny thing is we're actually talking over Skype right now. So
we are as well, yeah. That's true.
Kind of like Hulu in reverse. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So send us feedback if you like. Go to sixgun.org/HO if you want to find the show.
That is correct, sir. That is very correct.
Mm-hmm. And then there's HW Outlaws on Twitter. Yep. At HW Outlaws on Twitter. Have a good Christmas and New Year, and try not to kill anyone. And
try not to shoot people.
Yeah, try not to shoot anyone. And we'll see you in the new year.
It's only good shooting if you're Harry Bosch. Mm-hmm. Remember that.
It is. See you later.
6 William 21 requesting code 7.